So in this episode, we will be talking about playing from behind. So playing from behind, the approach to the game is of course very different. Like when you are very far behind the game, like usually it happens later in the game because sometimes, I mean, the mid game and so on, they're like quite even, but then later you fall behind. So the approach to the game is gonna change a lot because when you fall behind in the game, usually the enemy naturally has more map control, they have more vision on you, they have more items, they have more levels. So it's very unfair for you to try to play the game normally. So you have to find ways to like try to manipulate the game in a way that you don't have to take fair fights, you don't have to fight them at all, maybe you fight them only on your high ground, so you have the uphill and the vision advantage on them. So things like this you need to take in consideration when you're playing from behind. So when you have an unfavorable lane, like obviously you want to identify your matchup before you go into the laning stage. Like, as I talked about before, you want to have the pre-laning phase thinking about your lane, how you want the first 5 minutes to look like, and then just going from there. And like some games, it just happens that you will have losing lanes. Like your hero just doesn't work against the other hero, and then it's just important to voice it for your teammates that, yo, I have a losing lane that I'm either gonna need help, or are we okay with me losing this lane? And then you as a team decide what you want to do. Sometimes you end up just being sacked, and that can be okay if you're winning other lanes. So I mean, in Dota, usually what happens is you try to win 2 out of 3 lanes. Like you're never gonna win 3 lanes if you play against good teams and like teams that are like on your level. And so the ideal scenario is that you try to win 2 out of 3 lanes. And sometimes the way we approach the game is we early pick my hero, so then I'm gonna get countered. We're okay with it. Then it's just about approaching the game as when you're behind. Like then it's not so much about pushing your advantage on the mid lane. It's more about creating chaos on the map, trying to help the side lanes more, and just like roaming. Like as we talked before, losing lanes, you want to break the lanes as well as you can and just start roaming the map and just create space, create chaos. So some matchups are very like there's a very thin line on how for example, the monkey versus Huskar. The monkey usually is gonna be very bad against the Huskar mid lane because the Huskar spear spam, like you cannot tank it and you cannot sustain it at all. But if you like get a gank from your support, you in the draft you're like, it's okay, we can pick monkey against Huskar as long as you gank him once, and then you get a kill on the Huskar. Suddenly you have boots, he doesn't, and then you have level 3 before him, and then you can actually just dominate the lane with the level 2 passive and the move speed advantage. So things like this, you have to communicate with your team during the draft, and just you can turn these very unfavorable matchups into winning matchups by your teammates helping you, one support ganking for you, and then take it from there. So the way you get yourself in a position where you can start taking like unfair fights, it's like a longer process. Like it's about split pushing the map, trying to get the waves in, maybe even like hitting their tower at some point. Like it might be a long shot, but pushing all the way in until their tower, so that way you get information on the map. So like maybe one of them makes a mistake of going there, and then suddenly it's a 4 versus 5. They're all around your triangle in the bottom. Like if you're dire, they're around your triangle area, except one guy just TP'd out. So this is one very good example of big opening for your team. Like this is something like it should be like red flags for everybody. Like, hey, this is something we should really punish right now. Either you all go on the one guy who TP'd, or you take the fight 4 versus 5. And these kind of things you have to find these kind of openings at all times. even when you're behind, it's very important because once they're all back together, then the fights are obviously gonna be very difficult for you if you're far behind. So it's most importantly is trying to make them split any way you can, getting some kind of vision on the lanes, like lane wards, or if you can, because getting wards out can be very difficult. Just getting like some basic lane wards can be very good, so you can see them rotating from lane to lane. So then you can, like usually when the map is gonna look in the way that they're gonna be on 2 lanes at least. So one guy is maybe cutting one wave and then everybody else is around like 2 waves, like somewhere. So that way if you get some like lane wards, you can you get some good information on them that you can pick them off when they're like cutting one wave or they're trying to show on 2 lanes at the same time. Then it's just about taking your opportunities. So when you're playing from behind, it usually is something you must do is take risks, and it is something you cannot you can't not do it. If you don't take any risks when you're behind, there's no way you can get back in the game, because there's always going to be moments when you're behind that your vision is very limited. So what's gonna happen is that you're gonna see some people pushing waves from the enemy. So when that happens, when you're behind and you have the opportunity, like sometimes it's good to just like take the risk. Like there's a guy pushing middle, maybe he's alone. Like you just go for it. Like you take the risk of because like the risk and the reward. Like the risk is that if they're behind, you're probably gonna be even more behind. But if it's alone, it's a good way to get back in the game. You get the kill, you get the waves pushed, and that way you get a lot more farm. And the way the game is when you're behind in the game, it's very hard to come back without taking like some risks and like making some reads that he's alone and like things like this. You just have to do that sometimes. So here I'm gonna talk a little bit about this game against EG. This was TI8, was it upper bracket finals, or yeah, I think so. Yeah, people remember this game of Sumail going absolutely off with his tiny. He's insanely strong. He's getting kills left and right, and he ends up getting like 31 kills in this game. But we still end up winning this game. So I just wanna talk a little bit about how we approached the game when we were so far behind and we still managed to win the game. So as you can see, like we're very, very behind, 50 minutes in already. There's very little we can do on the map. Our vision is very limited. We don't have much, like only couple wards on our side of the map, and that's about it. The place we have is very limited. The information we are getting is very low, and they're just showing one guy and then the rest of them are chasing our other heroes. So the way we're approaching this game is just trying to split push as much as we can, pushing on the side lanes, and that way getting information and trying to get to our key items. Like we have a Spectre, we have a IO Spectre lineup, so we believe that if we somehow manage to get to a point where Spectre gets really farmed, we're still gonna win, no matter how behind we are. So that's our mindset going into this game. Like, even as you can see, we're behind 7,017 minutes in, which is a lot. So our heroes are much weaker than theirs. I mean, but still, like when you're behind, it's very important to take the chances you have. Like this time, they're going rows. Probably we don't want to give them rows for free. It just makes the game even harder for us. So we're taking these chances. Like this fight might be hard, but we got very good spells off. So we end up coming pretty good on this fight. Like we kill most of them, but we end up all of us dying. But still, it's a good fight for us. When you're behind, like you don't wanna be too scared, and you don't wanna let them get away with things that they really shouldn't get away with. So always look to make the most out of the lineup you have, and just keep the pressure high even when you're behind. I mean, so right now in this game, the mentality we have when we're behind like this is it's just mostly about trying to stall the game, like trying to not let them go high ground basically. Like all we're trying to talk about is getting our key items for Spectre, getting items for me also, and it's just about like trying to force mistakes out of the enemy. Like that's pretty much all we can do. And pushing lanes is a big part, as you can see. This is a good example of taking your chances. Like you can see, we don't see much anything in the map, and we just scanned mid. We saw that there's a Phoenix mid, so right away we take our chances. I ulti and we go on this bottom lane, and we reload in. Like this is the good example of taking your chances. That we're so far behind, we see one guy, we're straight up, instantly we're going on this guy's bottom, and it's something you always have to do when you're behind. Be ready to take, always be prepared to take the fight when you see someone showing somewhere else. This is how you end up getting back in the game, if you're not too scared. And then always pushing the waves in as deep as you can, always just keep on pushing the waves. And this is a good example also, like as you can see, we're 16,000 behind. We don't really have much going for us, but still, if you like team fighting, like as you can see, our position is very optimal for this fight. We have the center in front, and then me on the back dealing damage, and this is the most optimal way we can take the fight. So even though we're so far behind, we end up doing pretty well in this fight because of the way we were positioned. Yeah. They had Aegis, we even killed the Aegis guy. Anyway, overall very great stuff. These are things you need to do to get back in the game. So here's a good example of what I talked about before. Us pushing the bottom lane constantly in with Centaur and my Nimbus, it has created a opening for us. So we see this guy bottom on the gyro. There's not much else we see on the map, but we understand that there's no way anybody's behind this guy bottom. Like there's no way they're there. Like it would be very weird for them to be there. So we notice it and we take our chance. Our Bane is already going on the way there, and yeah, we just straight up go for it. These are the kind of things that turn losing games into winning games. Like now we're actually pushing their high ground with 20k behind. So we're 20k behind and we just take cracks from them. This is very, very good for us. Just a couple more moves like that and we're gonna be winning the game. Again, like being behind, not having any information on them, lanes pushing into them, they're not reacting anyhow on this. So we have a very good idea of what they're planning to do. They're going on this Spectre, we know it, we're waiting behind everybody of us. And it's the best way we can start a fight is, the best way we can start a fight is them going on the Spectre. He's our tankiest guy, we have IO, relocate, save him, and then that way I can get most damage in, and also the Centaur can get a good initiation. And it's the ideal way we start a fight is by the Spectre in front. I mean, this way we got the buyback from the Phoenix, but we ended up losing a lot of lives for that, but it's still okay for us. And here you can see we have decent positioning, but what ends up happening is they catch the IO and it ends up costing us the Spectre. But in late game, even though we're 20k behind, we have buybacks on our heroes. So we just baited into a bad position, play with the buybacks, buyback went in, they used all their spells, we're ready to fight them now, and we end up turning this fight around with the buybacks. And this is how you can turn losing games into winning games, by baiting their spells, playing with your advantages, and Spectre with the buyback on this very powerful play, and that's how we turn it around. And we are here, we got Roshan, we're playing with Aegis, we're playing with Spectre, and he's, at this point of the game, he's being the strongest hero in the game, he's already very strong, so yeah, I mean, it's just at this point we managed to get the gold lead into our side, and our heroes will eventually just overpower theirs. Like we have Io 25, and then we have this Spectre who is super farmed. So at this point, it's just hard for them to play the game. At this point, at this point, it's just about our lineup to lineup. Our lineup is just insane. We have very super strong late game lineup. Our lineup comes together very well, and this guy is tanking for us while I also deal a lot of damage with my spells on them. So, oh my god, Nimbus back then works with cooldown reduction. It's just zapping all the time. But yeah, GG, I won. Ended up winning this unwinnable game. Feels good.